What if I told you that creating cheerful Christmas cards could be the easiest and most rewarding thing you have done this holiday season? Because even though I have painted countless things in my day, including many Christmas cards, the Christmas cards we're about to paint today are amongst probably the funnest things I think I've ever painted. I seriously had so much fun with these, I almost couldn't stop. The possibilities and options with these are endless. So go grab your painting supplies and join me as we paint Christmas cards that are guaranteed to inspire your creativity and bring a smile to anyone who sees them. Let's jump right into it here. Today we are going to be painting some Christmas ornaments or baubles. I have 3 very simple designs or shapes here that I'm going to give a try. These are extremely easy to draw on your own, so we'll go over that in more detail in just a minute. But first, let's talk about paper that you can use to paint on. Now we have some options here. You can take a larger sheet of watercolor paper and just simply cut it into fourths and use that as your base paper. That's what I'm going to be doing today. But if you're in a hurry and you don't want to bother with that, then sometimes I actually like to use little booklets like this one where the watercolor paper is already cut to a 5x7 card shape that can easily be torn out and is ready to go. This little pad really isn't too expensive either, and it is 100% cotton cold press. A great and fast little go-to, but really whichever method you prefer is absolutely fine. Now, as far as the base drawing for these go, this only takes a couple of minutes to do and is very easy. I just find some sort of nice round object to use as a template to draw my initial circle on, such as a cup. I'll trace the circle template onto my watercolor paper, maybe a little towards the bottom half of the page so that I have room to draw the top of the ornament. Then for the top, I'll just draw a simple rectangular shape with a bumpy base for some added detail. Then a little circle or oval at the top for a hook, and then a line stemming upward for the string. Now this is really all you have to do. It can literally be this simple. But if you would like to add a bit of variety to your ornament shape, you can also just add a point to the bottom of the circle here and then erase the bottom of the circle, and now you have a more elongated and elegant decorative looking ornament. The last shape I tried was very similar to this, except I cut off the point to be a little bit shorter in length. I usually do my drawings with a Sharpie marker so that it's more visible, but I forgot to do that today. So hopefully you can see this well enough to get the idea. Really, you can go as simple or as detailed with the outline shape. Feel free to experiment and be creative. I will say, try to draw these outlines very lightly with a pencil though. With this technique we'll be using today, we actually want to sort of erase some of these outside lines later, so just keep that in mind. All right, now that I have my 3 different shapes drawn out, I'll pull out a little old brush and some masking fluid so that I can mask off the outside edges of the ornaments. I've rubbed just a tiny bit of liquid soap into the bristles of this brush to help clean that masking fluid out later. This just helps coat and protect the bristles a little bit so that the fluid doesn't start to gunk up the brush. Unfortunately, I ruined a brush or 2 in my day before I learned this trick. I also like to use older brushes for this so that if it does accidentally damage or gunk up the bristles, I haven't ruined one of my nicer, more expensive brushes. Now, do you need to have or use masking fluid to make these paintings work? The answer is no. You can definitely just try to paint within the lines instead, but it is a little bit more tedious and difficult that way. I felt like the fluid made the process more quick and fun because I wasn't having to try to stay within the lines. But again, whatever works for you. All right, after I've got all 3 of my outlines surrounded with the masking fluid, I'll take that brush and rinse it out immediately in the sink so that the fluid doesn't dry on the bristles. I'll push my cards off to the side really quickly to let them finish drying, and then I'll pull out my watercolor supplies. In fact, I'm choosing to use watercolor, but you definitely could use other mediums for this project as well if you'd rather. First up, I have my watercolor paints, a paper towel, some clean water, and then of course some brushes. I'll be using my personally designed craftamo brushes today. I'm not exactly sure which of these brushes I'll need yet, so I think I'll just go ahead and pull all of them out to be ready just in case. I have here a number 10 round, a number 6 round, a 1/4 inch angle brush, a number 3 round, and a number 1 rigger. Now, these brushes are currently out of stock, but there is a slight chance that Craftamo will let me do a second release of these if the interest level remains high. So if you're interested in potentially getting one of these sets if they become available again, then I have a link in the description of this video that you can click on and sign up to be notified when they're available. And as a side note, also listed in the description of this video are any of the supplies you see me using today, along with links as well. All right, now that the masking fluid is dry, we can begin painting. Let's go ahead and pull out the number 3 first and some golden or yellow colored paint to paint in the top part of the ornament first. I will just be using a bit of Gamboge for this. I'll take a touch of that color and start painting the side edge of the ornament with just a little bit of that color. You can fill the whole area in with a solid yellow color if you like, but I'm going to create sort of a gradient of color here by rinsing and drying my brush off, and then using the damp or wet brush to pull and spread this color out to the rest of the ornament top. I'll also use a bit of this gold yellow paint to paint in the circle hook and the string at the top of the ornament as well. This number 3 brush has a really nice point to the tip, so I could probably use it to paint in these lines, but I have a nice thin rigger brush here as well, so I thought why not use that for this part, but you can absolutely use whatever you have on hand. While I've got the paint and brushes out for these areas, I'm actually going to go ahead and just paint in all 3 of the tops of the ornament shapes. And actually, I'll be honest here and tell you a little secret. I actually have 6 of these cards sitting here, 2 of each ornament shape. I made 6 because I was planning on the fact that I would probably mess 1 or 2 of them up, or that some would turn out better than others. I didn't really paint any practice runs of this like I do sometimes. This is literally my first painting of these, so I figured I'll cut out the mess ups and just keep the 3 that I like best. Well, it turns out I had so much fun with these and actually loved all 6 that I painted. So as an added bonus, I have decided to show off all 6 designs rather than the 3 I had originally planned. So hopefully you'll find that helpful. All right, now the boring painting part of this is done. It's actually time to get into the fun part. So let's pull out a larger brush next. Maybe I'll grab the number 6. I love the strokes that this brush can do, and I think it will be the perfect size for these ornaments. You can choose whatever colors you'd like. I think I'm going to move outside of the traditional red and green Christmas colors for a minute though, and maybe try some nice blue. Here I'll pull out some ultramarine blue first, and maybe to brighten that color up a little bit, I'll add in a touch of phthalo blue as well. Let's do a color and stroke test on this scrap piece of paper really quick to get an idea of how this might look. I think I like that, although I may water down just a portion of this color to make it a touch lighter in value. Now I'll use that lighter watered down blue and begin painting in a nice stroke of color from the top to the bottom of the ornament, starting out the stroke a little more thin at the top and then pressing down on the brush to make it thicker in the middle, and then I'll let up on the brush again at the bottom of the ornament. I'll add in some more of these stripes to each side of this middle one here. The biggest thing to keep in mind as we begin painting this is to start curving the stroke outward to match the curvature of the ornament to help give it that 3D appearance. Something else to be aware of on this and the other ornaments that we're about to paint is that we will be erasing the outside pencil lines on this later. So you want to make sure that at least some of the paint touches that outside edge and has some color on it. Or in my case, it's overlapping because I have the masking fluid on here. That way, when we erase those pencil lines later, we can see and understand the true shape of the ornament still. This one's not too hard to make that happen because I can just paint some lines moving along the edge here, but some of the other designs will be a little bit different. Okay, now you can leave this design literally as it is and call it done, but I actually want to add a touch more detail in here. So when that initial paint has dried a little bit, I'll use some of the darker and not as watered down paint and come back in here and paint some larger and darker teardrop shapes over the top or following these initial lines. I'll just paint these about halfway down the ornament, I think, and see how that goes. Awesome. I like that. Now, to tie in this darker blue color, I think I'll paint in a few dots down below. And then another thing I added later on after the dark blue paint was dry, I'll just put up the footage now so you can see it, but I actually take a little bit of gouache or white acrylic paint and then paint some small dots on here as well to really finish it off. Now I'll just set that aside and try out the next piece. I actually kind of liked that stripe idea, so I think I'll try that again on this ornament, but this time I'll curve the lines into more of an S shape. I will try out some Alizarin crimson for this one too, just to change things up a little bit. This is where your creativity and ideas can just flow. There are a ton of options here. You can keep it simple and paint all of your cards the same. You can keep the same design but change up the colors. You can follow along with some of the design ideas I'm going to show you, or you can come up with your own totally different ideas and designs. I'm just the guide here to get your artistic creativity flowing, but you are the artist and you can literally do whatever you want. I really hope you're enjoying this Christmas ornament painting tutorial so far, because I've got 4 more designs still to show you. I started out with some of the more simple ones here, but we are going to get into decorating them a bit more as we move on. I try to provide fun tutorials with helpful tips so that you can enjoy the process of painting and feel more comfortable with creating your own artwork. If you find you're enjoying my painting and teaching style, I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any of my new and upcoming tutorials that I put out every week. I have some more great card designs that I'm really excited to share with you within the next couple of weeks, so make sure you don't miss out. All right, this ornament also turned out simple and beautiful. Notice that I did have to make sure to paint a little bit of color on the edges here too. That is an important element to making these designs work. And now to finish this off, I'll take a little bit of Gamboge and add that to the bottom piece of the ornament, and then I'll set that card off to the side and let it dry, and then pull out ornament number 3. This is probably my favorite shape of the 3. It just seems elegant and pretty and adds a little something extra to the plain circle ball. So let's see if we can do it justice. Maybe I'll throw a little bit of Quinacridone rose into this alizarin crimson on my tray to create a bit of a pink color for this one. I think I'd like to try some stripes again, but this time I'll paint them in a more of a horizontal format with a variety of sizes. The best way to get a nice, thick, perfect stripe is by using this angle brush. I think I'll actually start with some darker, thinner pink lines using the number 6 brush first, and I think I'll actually just paint this whole bottom area here with this color as well. Then when I'm ready to use the angle brush, I'll just load it up with paint, hold the brush with the longer point at the top, then keeping the bristles fairly straight, I just pull out on the brush, and voila, a perfect thick line in literally one stroke of the brush. Let's give it a try and see what happens. To add a fun variation, I'll use some different values of this pink color by adding a little extra water to make it lighter or a little extra pigment to make it darker. This looks really good so far, so I'll just continue on this way, adding stripes of different sizes and values until the ornament is full. Now, the stripes look really great how they are, but I would like to add a little something extra to kind of set this apart from just the plain stripes. So after the paint is dry, I'll take my number 3 round and some cadmium red paint and begin painting a little cluster of red berries here around the middle area of the ornament. Nothing too complicated or fancy, I'll just paint a small circle of color going around a little white highlight. Next, I'll pull out the rigger brush and some sap green color and paint in a few very small and thin pine needle branches to complement and offset the berries. I like this one a lot. I think it's become my new favorite. Maybe I'll finish this off with a little line through the berries to kind of connect them all together. Awesome. I really do like how that one turned out. So let's set it aside, let it finish drying, and we'll give another one a try. I think I'll actually go off the berry and pine branch that I tried on that last one and literally just paint berries and pine branches all over this round ornament next. This is a design that you need to make sure overlaps or touches that outer pencil line though. Otherwise, you're going to lose the actual shape of the ornament later when we erase those lines. Again, nothing too complicated here, just some nice round clusters of red berries using some cadmium red and the small round number 3. And then filling in the extra spaces later, we'll use the rigger brush and some sap green paint for some small pine branches. Well done. I like this one too. My daughter actually said that this one is her favorite, and I think with each one that I paint, it becomes my new favorite. I'd love to hear in the comments which of the 6 ornaments I'm showing you today is your favorite. Now, to kind of finish this one off, I may take a touch of burnt umber and paint in some small thin branch marks to connect the berry clusters together, and then we can call this one done. All right, only 2 left to go. I think I'll move back to the stripe idea once again. I'd like to paint this one green using a variety of greens on my palette, maybe some sap green, some hooker's green, and some olive green. I will once again paint these with a variety of sizes and values, and the plan that I have for this one is to actually decorate it later with a few extra things, like maybe some dots or even some berries and holly, so stick around for that. Okay, now that the main part of this ornament is complete and dry, I'll take a little bit of white gouache or white acrylic paint and paint in some white dots along these nice wide green stripes for some fun added detail. And then later on, after I took the masking fluid off, but I will just put up the footage of that now, I decided to add a few berries and holly leaves to the top of the ornament for an even extra added fun look. All right, here we are with the 6th and last design that I have to share with you. This one, to be honest, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I think I'll pull out some nice, rich, dark ultramarine blue for this one, and I'm just going to paint some random designs and shapes until the ball is completely filled in. Maybe I'll use the smaller number 3 round for this and begin my shapes with some petals or flower strokes. These are really simple to do. Just start with the tip of the brush touching the page, and then as you pull the brush out, you also push down on the bristles. This makes a lovely petal shape with only one stroke. Just remember that if you paint more of these off to the sides of the ornament, to curve the petals slightly so they look like they're bending with the curvature of the ornament. My inspiration for this one is the blue willow dishes. I actually collect blue willow dishes. I just think they are so beautiful, and I love the dark, rich blue pattern on the white background. It is elegant and striking to me. So here I'm painting a nice, rich blue pattern on a white ornament. I really don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just filling in the space until it looks full and covered. We'll see how it turns out, I guess. Again, though, this is one that you want to make sure to have the color touching or overlapping to the edges to help hold the shape of the ornament. Oh boy, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I have a new favorite. I have had an absolute blast painting these today. It is seriously one of the funnest things I think I've ever painted. I feel like I could just keep going all day, but I did only prepare 6 to do right now. So let's have the final reveal of all of these and see what they look like without the masking fluid and pencil lines around the outside of them. You can just use your finger to rub the masking fluid off, but I'm actually going to use this good eraser that I have here on my mechanical pencil so that I can also erase the pencil lines at the same time and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, as the saying goes. Very cool. I think that just made me like these ornaments even more. It is so neat to be able to see the whole shape of the ornament without actually having a set outline for them. I really like how these turned out. And as a side note, I didn't do this today, but you also have the option here to write a little message or words like Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays on here to add a little something extra too. I truly hope you give these a try. I think that you'll have just as much fun with these as I did, and the possibilities are really endless as to what you can do with them. I'm so happy you joined me today. I hope you had some fun and maybe even learned something new. If you did enjoy this tutorial, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel so I can continue to help you discover your artistic side.